So once Baylan sent Shin off to basically her death to fight Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra on her own, which he knows she probably wouldn't have a good chance of living or surviving, but figured maybe her chances are better here than where he's being called to. He ends up fighting Ahsoka for a few seconds, tells her that she cannot win, and I truly do believe he is more powerful than she is because he's like bested her now a few times in combat, and she ran away in this one after the help of Hu Yang's ship. So he eventually, like, she goes one way, steals his ride, and he goes the other way. Instead of trying to follow her or anything like that or call his ship or whatever it might be, he goes the other way, meaning he's continuing on his path, meaning he doesn't care about anything else, that whatever he's about to do is bigger than literally everything, and probably why he went to Pretty in the first place and took on this mission. I don't think he gives a crap about Thrawn or anything else or what Thrawn's purpose is. I think his whole purpose is to perhaps restart a whole new Sith or Jedi or Force user era where he can kind of right the wrongs of the past and put an end to this whole cycle. The whole cycle of the birth of the Jedi, then the Empire. Birth of the Jedi, then the Empire. A new Jedi, Empire. Last Jedi, Empire. Another Jedi, Empire. And he wants to bury that cycle and end the cycle, he said. Well, what ends cycles? Death. So where's he going? Could it be Abeloth? If we have discussed before, if you guys are privy to the characters from the Clone Wars or the videos that I've made, we got the mother, which is death. We got the father, the embodiment of balance. The daughter, which is the embodiment of the light side. And the son, which is the embodiment of the dark side. Mother, father, daughter, son. And we haven't heard of the daughter much at all in canon, but we have in Legends. And she's a very terrifying being. Now, I've made a video that's about 20 minutes long or so, 15 minutes long, about the mother, about Abeloth. And it's from Deep Legends, and she is a very terrifying creature. Essentially, I think that Baylan is probably going to sacrifice himself, and I think he doesn't want Shin to see that. I think he doesn't want perhaps that entity to take Shin as well. And I think he knows that he's going to his death, but he believes for whatever reason that this is the will of the Force and that this is the way it needs to be. Perhaps, this is what I'm assuming. So there is that possibility. The other possibility is that maybe Palpatine is reaching out to him. If they want to connect us to the sequel trilogy, we do know that Palpatine is around, he is alive, and obviously in this time between Return of the Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, they're trying to bring him back, and they're trying to find a vessel for him, a body for him to transfer his essence into that would end up housing his spirit and his powers. And perhaps Baylan is this vessel for him. Maybe he's reaching out to Baylan because he feels like this being, who is not clouded by just the Jedi or by just the Sith and dark side, has the ability to contain his vessel and his body. And so, as much as I don't want this to happen, I'm telling you, I don't want this to happen, I could see them throwing that in there and being like, well, we have to tie it to the sequel trilogy somehow, so how are we going to do this? Have Palpatine reach out from some undisclosed location super far away after, once he's dead now or whatever, transferred his essence into another body. How is he going to now reach out to a more able body and try and further his living physical conditions? Could it be by reaching out to Baylan and having Baylan do his bidding, or trying to transfer his essence into Baylan himself and becoming Palpatine? I mean, imagine if at the end of this episode, it's like, sure, Thrawn and them escape, but then freaking Baylan takes on the Force essence, the spirit of Palpatine, the mother, Abeloth, the son embodiment of the dark side, or who knows what. I don't know. Maybe he's going to converse with the Bendu because he's kind of in the middle himself. He's not light. He's not dark. So what is he? So for me, yeah, as much as I don't want, him to be Palpatine, it would still be a possibility for them to throw in there. However, what do I think Dave is going to do? I don't think Dave would do that, man. I don't think Dave would do that. I think Dave would probably incorporate some new character, either that we don't know of or someone that we've been introduced to in the Clone Wars. And that, I think, would have to be something to do with the Mortis arc, because it is one of the most mysterious arcs in Star Wars, and I feel like we haven't really gotten any sort of clarity or clairvoyance on the arc. And it's just kind of like this lingering thing in the room. It's like, well, what about these godlike beings who keep popping up? And he brought them again into Rebels with the mural, with the son and the daughter. He constantly brings an owl, Morai, around Ahsoka. So I think all of this has to be linked to Mortis somehow. I would just be really surprised if it wasn't. Now, I personally would love for it to be a Mortis character rather than Palpatine. But, knowing that they do, of course, have to connect the dots somehow to the sequel trilogy, I could see them doing that. Now, is it mandatory for them to do this in this time period? No. I think the sequels are still very far away, and they're literally 1 year in Star Wars. 1 year. like 30 years after Return of the Jedi. So we can skip the whole thing until way later on. You know, at this point, I think Rey is like, I don't know, 10 or something like that. I think Palpatine's clone is probably like 10 or something, no, dude, his clone would be way older because he already had Rey. So his clone, I think I did the calculations for this a long time ago, years ago. His clone, I think, was made roughly like a few years after Revenge of the Sith, something like that. And he was kind of a dud, and Palpatine just kept him around for like fresh blood, and ended up running away, and then having Rey with some lady. And so Rey pops out. She has crazy force powers, and now she's probably chilling on Jakku somewhere, and she's like 10. Probably at the point where we see her in that flashback. That's probably what's going on right now, I would imagine. But yeah, anyways, look, I think Baylan is obviously on a very important mission that he believes supersedes literally everything else. Ahsoka, Shin, everything and everybody, Thrawn and all the crap he's trying to do. I don't think he cares about any of that stuff. I think he's just very focused on his own mission, his own path, and he wants to meet his destiny. And that could be Abeloth, could be Palpatine, could be the Sun, could be something entirely different. Whatever it is, we know it's more powerful than the witches, and the witches fear it. So personally, I think it's the Sun, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think Baylan really hates Shin and he just sent her off because he's like, whatever, I don't care about you, you're going to die anyways? Or do you think he's trying to save her from whatever fate he is falling into now? And he knows he's going to his death. He knows he's going to meet his destiny. And my question is, why is he going there? Why did he not go and fight Ahsoka and Ezra and Shin? And if he did, I think they would have beaten the crap out of them, first of all, especially with the troopers. I think Baylan counts as like 5 people, so it just wouldn't have looked good for them. So he abandoned her, didn't go after Ahsoka, knowing that she's going to probably kill Shin, or at least defeat her, at the very least, and yet continued on his other path, on his own way, in the other direction. So to me, I'm just like, why would you do this? Why would you do that to your daughter, your Padawan? And so it must be for a very, very important reason or selfless reason. And I just think he's going to be sacrificed or sacrifice himself. And we'll have to wait and see what really happens, So rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. I wish he was still around. I wish he could see the immense level of support and love that fans have for his character. Baylan is my favorite character in this whole show. And he is definitely my favorite Disney character. Beyond Kylo Ren, like screw Kylo Ren now. This guy's the GOAT. He's cool. I want to learn more about him. So maybe we'll get, a backstory or something like that. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching or listening on Star Wars Theory Podcast on Spotify and iTunes. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.